All right, into the next journal entry systemic problems in America. So we were talking about quotas in the last video. Now, talking about how it's a numbers game, but it really shouldn't be. Because if we're talking about crime, we're talking about injustice. We're talking about actual, crimes being committed. We're talking about law and order. This is what we need to be looking at. People following the law, right? How can it be a numbers game? It's like we marginalize it by ethnicity. What is it? I can't remember what it's called again. But what is it? But like a sort of like a geography or demography. I don't. But pretty much like the area as well. So we're talking like they look at ethnicity, they look at how much money you make, they're looking at what is it, where you are, where you live, and what it's worth. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry everybody. I completely lost my train of thought. But it's fine. If I'm meant to remember it, it'll come back. So, but we can still keep going about systemic problems, especially when we're talking about what is it, law and order, and police brutality. It's all connected. It definitely is. Like I said, it's their way of making money by upstating these quotas. It's just all like, but at the same time, there we go. At the same time, it's like, why are you attacking these quotas? Because that means you're making it more and I'm saying you're as in like addressing the system. The system is more about saying, hey, I care more about reaching this profit margin than I care about actual crime and justice, or then I care about law and order and justice. I care about reaching this quota more than I care about law and order and justice and due process. Because you have to think about that. It's just all like if we're focusing more on actually catching criminals, if we're focusing more on actually stopping organized crime, if we're trying to actually solve injustices, then why are we going after people for very, very small things? For very small things. And then so it's just all like we're actually employing more of our resources just to sort of penny collect and squeeze the pennies out of anybody we can because we'll make more money doing that than going after actual injustices. There's no money in putting away a serial killer. There's respect from the community, there's notoriety, but there's no money in it. You get paid by the taxes and that's it. So how do we make money? By making more criminals. We had that whole super predator thing back in the 90s. Pretty much saying, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York. What is it? My mother got us out of there specifically because a lot of black males were not growing up beyond their 20s. They join a gang, die, go to prison, die, be innocent, die. You know, a lot of people don't want to hear these things. They don't want to hear these things. But they don't want to pay attention to it either. They're just like, I'd rather just go about living my life. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of like that too. I grew up in a very suburban, you know, comfy place. I grew up in Lake County, California. Spent a majority of my life there. Spent time in Surprise, Arizona, and now I'm here in Arvada, Colorado. I've lived a pretty comfortable, pretty comfortable. I've had pretty comfortable living conditions. The better way to say it, because I've come from very humble beginnings, I guess you can say. And but my discussion here is not talking about myself. But as I was stating, the systemic problem that we are facing here is really incentive. It's the temptation. I'm not making money collecting up criminals. I'm making money by meeting quotas, tickets, arrests. Because you have to realize when you make arrests, The people they're arresting are going to private jails, private prisons, and it's just all like they're not being paid by taxpayer dollars. The government is paying these people in taxpayers' dollars. It's very different from taxes going into the government, going back into, the community. Hopefully, it's just up to the government to decide what's the community. You know, Politicians might take up a vast percentage of that community. You know, don't making donors take up a vast percentage of that community. That's what they like to do. Look at Citizens United. They like to word legislation in ways that look good and appealing to the citizens, but they know the citizens aren't going to bother to read it. And if they dumb down education, then how many citizens are actually reading it? Because illiteracy is actually still a problem in America as well too. Dumb people down, their eyes aren't open. But this one I'll make a little bit longer because I do want to really tackle um, how I feel about that before I close this out, and then we'll go in another day. But I'll close this out here. If we really want to see solutions to these problems, we shouldn't be aiming towards the police. The police are only like the symptom of the infection. You know what I mean? They're not the actual infection itself. The infection is being caused by the virus. The inflammation, the coughing, the sneezing, we're thinking those are the problems, but those are the symptoms of the actual problem. The real problem we're facing here is is a system of temptation. We want to incentivize people to go for the money and not to go for the quantity, to go for the quantity, but not the quality. You know, what is it? You have more private prisons being filled up by some fake arrest. That's another dollar in their pocket. Yeah, and that's hundreds of dollars. It's thousands. It's billions of dollars. The private prison is $1 billion industry. And isn't that wrong in itself? How in the world is prison an industry? It shouldn't be. Prison is something that we should be doing to hold dangerous people. But then we can always just call whoever we want dangerous to put them in there, right? So maybe prison itself needs to become something else, not just a timeout. Because not just a life or a death sentence, and not free labor either. Like, come on, like they're getting at like they'll be asked to do jobs that we're not asking citizens to do. That doesn't make sense. So okay, dude stole somebody's purse. Dude got caught with cocaine. Dude got you. It doesn't matter. I use dude in a Western sense. I mean it ubiquitously for both genders. I don't care. And you'll come to know when it comes to how I feel when it does come to that. So LGBTQ, you better watch out because I'm an ally of the people, but not of labels. So thanks. Um, but let's go ahead and close that out here because, as you may have noticed, I definitely have a lot going on that I'm thinking about, and it's just nice to be able to actually express myself and get it out there. It's opinion. I have some facts behind it. I'm not crediting them. Some information I may need to credit in the future, or is not, yeah, in sight. But we'll get there. But definitely, when it does come to these problems that we face in America, we have to take accountability for the money coming into the country as well as the money going out of the country, as well as how we use that money within the country and out of the country. Those are major things. All right, like you guys get mad with the police all you want, but defunding them, taking them out, that's not happening. And it shouldn't happen either. It's just all like, what? We want the crime rate to skyrocket because you still have to realize there are dangerous people in the world. And we do need a system against that. And taking just completely destroying what we have right now may be beneficial for some people, but it's not going to be beneficial for all people because not all the cops are bad. And and these guys, just like the rest of us, rely on their jobs to make a living. So we do need to look at it that way as well too. We're not the only victims here as citizens. But yeah, I'll go ahead and close that out from there. Thanks for watching, and I'll definitely be back with more thoughts from the Zen Man.